everyone, this is Shan from PTE+. Now, there are already quite a few useful and detailed videos out there that show you how to analyze your score report and also talk about the different cross contributions between the modules. So for example, how speaking read aloud would contribute to both your speaking scores and your reading as well, and also by what percentages. So I myself have done a previous video talking about which question types are more important because of these relationships. So if you haven't seen that already, I'll link it somewhere for you here. But in today's video, I want to share with you something that is less known and less obvious about the score report. So sometimes the full story about the score report isn't as easy to pick out and find out about as well. And so there are more simple and effective ways to analyze your score report rather than by yourself. So to start off, let's have a look at the score reports of two different students. This is student 1. So you can see that he received a fluency score of 65 and a pronunciation score of 32. So this resulted in a speaking score of 44. And this is student 2. So this person received a 70 in fluency, which is a little bit higher than student 1. But this person's pronunciation score is 20, which is a lot lower than this person's pronunciation score of 32. So what do you think student 2 received for speaking? This student's score is actually 51. So does this tell us that fluency has a higher weight than pronunciation? So if I were student 1, what I would think is, okay, fluency actually is more important than pronunciation, so I should try to work on my fluency and improve it, right? That is actually not the case. That's not the reason, and student 1's problem lies somewhere else. So let me explain how this could have happened. Okay, so let's say both these students are trying to say the word tea ceremony. And in my previous video about machine scoring, I explained how the machine would actually pick out all the possible words that you could have said and then calculate a probability for these possibilities as well. So for student 2, the machine would have picked out, okay, these are all the possible words that you could have just said. And because tea ceremony is one of the possibilities, you would get the content score. But because there are so many possibilities of what he could have said, and also that none of them really stand out, so the machine can't quite work out how close you are to what you're actually trying to say, therefore their pronunciation score would be heavily penalized. So let's come back to look at student 1. Now this is his actual attempt at a read aloud question in PTE+ that contains the word tea ceremony. And you can see that the machine transcript that came out was to cinema. Now we know that behind this, the machine first generated a list of possibilities that he could have said. And you can see here that because to cinema is the one that has the slightly higher probability, that's the one that's being printed out in the transcript. So the first thing you'll notice is that he has fewer possibilities and range of what he could have said compared to student 2. So in that case, the machine would say, okay, with pronunciation in that area, you are slightly better than student 2. However, one of the big problems is that the word tea ceremony is not even in his possibilities. So this means that the machine did not even begin to think or pick up that he was even trying to say tea ceremony at all. And this means two things. Number one, his content score will be heavily penalized. And number two, it also means actually that his speaking is still weaker than student 2. And that's how we end up with these two score reports, whereby the fluency is relatively close and his pronunciation score is higher than student 2's. However, he ends up with a lower speaking score because his content score is much lower. And even though his pronunciation score is higher, which is 37 compared to 20, his problem for student 1 still lies in his pronunciation and in his speaking, because the machine did not even begin to pick up the words that he was trying to say in the first place. So this is an example of the complexity of analyzing the score report, because sometimes what you see doesn't necessarily show you the full story, so it may be hard to detect some of your problem areas. And let's say you do find all your problem areas as well. Then now you also have to work at which one to work on first, right? Because you can't work on all of them. So what should you work on now to get you the most improvement, and then next, and how do you be more effective with your time? And one of the simplest and easiest way to do this is actually in the all-in-one course next focus areas. So what this shows me is that for this student, or for you if you upload your score report, is that number one, these are your biggest problem areas that are affecting your scores the most, and number three, have the most potential and room for you to improve. Now there's a lot going on behind this analysis. It includes thinking about students' learning curves in every single question type. So it goes to a much deeper level that I will never be able to achieve. Okay? But with something as simple as this, you'd immediately be able to get out top 3 things you need to work on now, so as to improve most effectively in the time that you have. Now this is completely free, by the way, so I would highly encourage that you make full use of it, right? I'll link it in the description box below, and let me show you how to actually do it as well. Once you're logged into your PT Plus account, click on All-in-One Course. Then on the left-hand side, click on Analyze. First thing you can do is set your PTE goal. And then at the bottom, click on Upload Score Reports. Once you've added your score reports here, simply click back to Home, and then you'd be able to see your next focus areas here. It's as simple as that. So remember to use the link below to set up your account and make use of this. The other thing about these next focus areas is that it actually changes with you. So if you're learning and practicing inside the course, it is going to see if you have improved and whether you've improved enough to move on to the next focus area, and then it will recommend that as well. And while you're improving, you're going to get to a stage whereby the machine is saying you are actually good enough and you should now try to sit a test to see how ready you are. So with your free account, you can already start to watch the learning videos and practice questions with the machine and see your scores and how you're going. So if you found what I shared today interesting and helpful, then do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also follow us on Facebook for more updates and resources.